Hello there. Would you please ignore the things to my left? My right? Maybe it's my right for you. I don't know. But those are from a different video, and I hope you don't mind that I have this in my hand still, because this is kind of fun. Kind of fun. I don't use it all the time, but it's kind of my little driftwood pointer. I'm a person who talks with my hands a lot, so this feels quite normal to me. I'm also, I've also been told I'm a little bossy, so step in line. That type of thing. Maybe I'll sit back here for this one, because I won't be having to show you anything up close, but that's my dog Sophie. Anyway, and I'm Lydia, if you don't know. Hi. And today I just wanted to really talk about the change of seasons and how that really affects me. And does it affect you? Because I think it affects a lot more people than I thought. I always assumed that every spring when I get almost like this real renewal of energy, and it really feels like a rebirth. Like, I start getting tons of creative ideas coming to me, and I get this like encouragement within me of like, oh yeah, things are happening. I've got all these new ideas. Things are going to be in the works. Like, let's just constantly come up with new ideas. It's constant like popcorn, like just all the time in my head, and it feels fantastic. And I get this like interesting inner energy too. It's like this new burst of inner energy. And I don't feel that way in any other season really. It's just the spring. Around early March, I'd say, is when I start to really feel it. Maybe even February, but then, you get these crazy blizzards in February that kind of, make you feel like, well, maybe spring's not too soon. Not as soon as I would think. So I feel that way every year in the springtime. And I always kind of thought that maybe it had to do with my birthday, because I'm born in April 4th. And so I kind of thought like, okay, maybe it has to do with the fact that I was born at that time, around that time. So like, it's this sort of like me being prepared to be born almost. And my body remembers that. And maybe there is something to that too, but it is kind of interesting because anybody that I've talked to or asked questions about that, like I would ask them like, do you feel that way in your birth month or getting close to your birth month? And they always say no, not really, not really like a rebirth, although, maybe it might be their favorite season or whatever, or they might enjoy the season that they were born in or the month that they were born in, but they don't feel that renewal or that rebirth. And then I was like, well, maybe it really does have to do with the season itself, maybe it really does. But it was interesting because I never felt summer in summer really. Like, I guess I didn't really understand what that would mean. Like, what would summer even feel like? And I guess I did feel, I don't know, I guess I did feel kind of slow in the wintertime, but mostly, I feel maybe the clearest in the wintertime, if that makes sense. So it's like, I kind of was like, I don't know, does this really make sense for the seasons? And I don't know. I think this year I'm really paying attention to how the seasons are affecting me, especially now that I'm out of toxic mold And I've been out of toxic mold for I think 2 years now, which is like mind-blowing, absolutely mind-blowing. So, you know, I think this might be the healthiest that I've been since being in toxic mold. And obviously through the mold, the many years I was in that, it affected me so greatly that I really could not even, I felt so disconnected from everything, including the seasons, including people, and you know, so it was a little hard for me to feel it then or assess then whether or not it was the seasons changing me or if it was some other factor. I am now starting to think that it is the seasons, and especially since like being this clear, this is the clearest I've been mentally and even the healthiest I've been since then, I'm really feeling more in tune to my surroundings and how I feel, even depending on the weather. So all of that's pretty darn cool. And I did notice this winter that I did feel a lot of the similar feelings, although this winter was such a I don't want to say a dud, because I'm sure that it, you know, I know that it was good for the earth as well. I mean, it was also healing, I'm sure, in its own right. But it was a weird winter, to say the least. We had hardly any snow at all, which is kind of crazy for the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, but, you know. But most of the time in the winter, I do feel it's refreshing, but not energizing, if that makes sense. And there's a clarity of mind, but like almost a focus on observing, a focus on recharging, which I guess is a winter, it would make sense that that's a winter type of energy. But this year I'm especially paying attention to summer. How do I feel in the summertime? Because in the past years, I don't think I have really paid attention to summer. Summer's not really my favorite season. I think it might be my least favorite, actually. But I don't want to say that because I love all seasons, truly. It's just, I don't really pay attention to summer. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of like yeah, summer's great. We go on a lot of hikes and we do stuff outdoors, but it's not, it's like I don't know. I don't really focus on summer, or it's not really on my mind. And I don't think of it as a favorite when I think of seasons, you know? So, but this summer I'm already starting to notice that my energy that I was having through the spring, the heightened high energy that I was feeling in the sporadic but frequent ideas popping up are starting to slow down and condense and become more stable and more consistent. And that's kind of interesting. I'm kind of enjoying that because I think every year I try my hardest to, like when I start to feel that busy spring energy, because to me spring is very new life and everything starts radiating and it's like this, I don't know, like this bubbling up, you know? And even my mind becomes very scattered in a way. I'm less observant. I'm less keen to focus on what is going on around me. And it's not a slow season, that's for sure. For me, spring is not. And so I notice with myself every year, I do try to slow myself down. Okay, this is really just taking me someplace. Let me try to bring winter back almost. let me try to slow down again. Let me try to go back into my observance era. And this year, I'm not doing that. This year, I'm seeing where it takes me, which feels scary because I don't enjoy, I love the feeling of spring. I love it. It's my favorite. But the idea of it being long lasting feels like, oh my gosh, is my attention span just going to go out the window? You know what I mean? But it hasn't. And I'm very glad for that. And I'm sure you can even tell, when you watch my TikToks or watch my videos, it's like there is a about me, you know what I mean? Like I'm a lot sillier, I don't know. I feel sillier. And I feel brought to life in a way. I guess just like everything else, right? In the spring. But so far as summer has been approaching and is now in full swing, I still have the energy, but it's not as sporadic. And it feels more consistent, and it feels like my work ethic is stronger, which I guess makes sense for summer. I never really thought of that as a summer thing. I don't know why. I just didn't. But I guess it makes sense. And that's what I'm experiencing now. So I'm kind of happy with that. I really am. And I'm excited to see then what fall brings me, and not trying to undo the seasons, you know what I mean? Like I have been in previous years. Because I do tend to do that. So we'll see. It's feeling really, really nice right now. It's nice allowing myself to move with it and not having that fear control me. That fear of losing my attention span. Especially since I know that winter will come. And up here we have very long winters at that, so I will get my winter very soon. I think there's also something to be said psychologically about that. Like, what about that? What about me giving into the seasons, giving into that short attention span is so scary? And also why do I keep wanting to bring back the winter, even though I know it's going to come back? Winter always comes back, And is it almost like a sense of preparing for, I don't want to say preparing for the worst, but sort of like making sure that I'm prepared and not caught off guard when winter does come back again. But the thing is it's nature, you know what I mean? It's nature. It comes back no matter what. And even if I am caught a little off guard, as sometimes the trees are, as sometimes the earth is, when winter comes a little early, or when when we've had maybe a very hot summer or what have you, it still comes, and the earth still gets used to the seasons and adjusts accordingly. So I guess there's something to be said about just really giving into it and just trusting that my energy will understand exactly what to do when winter comes, and when fall comes again, it'll remember, because we've been through this before. It'll remember what that's like. There's something so beautiful about that, I think. Right? I think so. So how do you feel about the seasons? That's what I want to know. How do the seasons affect you? Do you feel energized in the spring? Or do you feel energized in your birth month, which may not be spring? also, what is your favorite season and why? Sometimes I feel like spring is my favorite season. Sometimes. Because there are so many amazing aspects to spring. And if you don't live in a place that has a very beautiful spring, I can understand why that might be hard, or that might be one of your least favorite seasons, or it might not be that appealing to you, but I live in a place that has a very beautiful spring. The flowers bloom, you get amazing storms, fog, rain, thunder, dew. Lilacs bloom, which are one of my favorite flowers. Lilacs remind me of childhood. To me, that's a childhood smell. So, I love them. And let's see. But I don't know if it really is my favorite season. I think it's a lot of aspects of it make me feel like it's my favorite season. But I've said a lot of different things as my favorite season. I've said fall before, and I sometimes do believe that fall is my favorite. And I think for a lot of people, fall's a fan fave because it's beautiful. The weather's always cool, but not. It's like sweater weather. Who doesn't love sweater weather? You know what I mean? A cozy drink. But you can still get away with your iced coffee. You know what I mean? No one's giving you weird looks for having an iced coffee in the fall. Come on. Iced pumpkin spice. It's great. Fall is great. And it is beautiful. And man, hiking in the fall smells fantastic. But I've also said winter before. And I sometimes do believe that winter is my favorite. Although it's hard for me to feel that way just because of the winter we recently had this year, which wasn't the best to me. But in general, winter is pretty freaking great. Especially where we are, where it looks like Narnia every year. I love it. I really do. And the deftness of the snow. There's something so amazing about the deftness of the snow when you're out in the woods. And it's silent. It's silent. It's great. And the crunching of the snow beneath your feet. It's a good sound. And I think the energy that I feel in the wintertime is so peaceful to me. And I feel very at home with that sort of energy. The observance, the stillness, the time to ponder, the time to rejuvenate, that everything says it's okay to sit and relax. It's okay. I love that. And it makes you think about the year to come. Where am I going to be? What do I want to do? Reflection. Such a time of reflection. And I love that so much. And of course you can do that any time of year. Reflect on things. But energetically, it just happens to me in the wintertime. I'm not even trying to reflect on things. I'm not even trying to slow down or anything like that. It just happens. Just like it happens in the spring, where I'm not even trying to have the renewed energy and the creative ideas just coming to me. I'm not trying. But it just happens. And there's something about the peaking of the sunshine in the spring that just enlivens me. It's amazing. Do you feel that way too? Because maybe you don't. Maybe you don't. Maybe you feel rejuvenated by winter. Maybe you feel something about the snow makes you full of energy. Maybe you do a lot of things in the wintertime. People do winter sports in the wintertime. People, I mean, you know, and maybe inside that's how you feel. Interesting. Let me know. I would love to know. Thanks for stopping by.